Hello, friends. Welcome aboard the Round Trip Stories podcast, where we share stories of moving around the world and back again, reflecting on the lessons we've learned along the way. My name is Tracy.
And my name is Melissa, and we are so glad you're joining us for today's episode. Our guest today is Kat Borba, teacher, supporter of overseas missions, and mother of three. In her 20s, she and her husband became missionaries to Sapporo, Japan, landing just 4 weeks before the 9.1 magnitude earthquake and tsunami hit Japan, many miles south of them. Throughout the years, Kat and her husband continued to work in their local Japanese church, serving in various ways through college ministry, English teaching, and mothering groups. Kat's stories show how she struggled with the feeling of incompetency without basic literacy in Japan, while at the same time she relished connecting to and receiving support from other foreign missionaries. So buckle your seatbelts and make sure your tray tables and seats are in their upright positions as part one of Kat's round trip story gets ready for takeoff.
Hi, Kat. Thanks so much for joining us today for our Round Trip Stories podcast. We're so happy to have you.
Hi, Tracy and Melissa. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be another fun conversation, and we are, so grateful for you taking time to do this with us. Before we get into the story about your time living abroad, we're going to take a few minutes to get a little bit of the backstory. So tell us first a little bit about yourself and your family, and maybe even including where you grew up.
Sure. So I grew up in Clovis. I've lived here pretty much my whole life, except for the stint I did abroad. And my family consists of me and my husband, Stephen, and our 3 kids. And both he and I are currently educators. Before we left for Japan, just I was an educator. And we left with no kids and came back with one on the way.
Okay.
Wow. And just to clarify, you're in Clovis, California. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Not New Mexico. Clovis, California. I forget there's another one.
Okay. And so when you moved abroad, where did you go?
So when we moved abroad, we moved to Sapporo, Japan, which is on the island of Hokkaido. Most people have no concept of Sapporo, Japan until we tell them it's where the beer comes from. And most people are like, oh, yeah, like Sapporo beer. I know that.
Yeah, that's what I thought of, too.
Yeah. Older people, if you tell them the Olympics were held there, they're like, oh, yeah, the Olympics were held there once. But I had no concept of that. It was, oh, yeah, it's where the beer comes from. It's the snowiest big city in the entire world.
What? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Snowiest city with 1 million or more people in the entire world. Snow starts in November and stops in April. And there's still snow on the road and in the snow dumps until July.
Oh, my word.
A trip. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so what took you to Japan in the first place?
My husband and I worked with an organization called Asian Access, and we were missionaries with them. Our official position was Church Planting Associates, which is like their entry level, learn how to be a missionary, see if this is what you want to do long term type position. Mm-hmm. And we worked with, their whole thing is working with local pastors. So Japanese pastors wanting to plant other churches in their cities. And so they send missionary partners to those pastors to work together, to work under, to help see their vision fulfilled.
Sure.
And so we went to work at a church called Sapporo Fukuinju Kyokai, which is Sapporo EV Free Church.
Okay.
And with Pastor Kaji. And we were essentially their gophers. Whatever needed to be done, we did it. If mainly English teaching, that was one of the big ministries in the area. A lot of people had great English academic knowledge, but didn't have lots of practical English experience.
Right.
So we came in and provided that need. Our church was across from university, and so we did a lot of international student and college student ministries. once I had my daughter, we did a lot of mommy baby English class and mommy baby playgroup type things as well. Pretty much, if it needed done, we were there to do it for them and to help them do what they wanted to do.
So how old were you and your husband when you first moved to Japan? And how long had you been married? I'm curious, too.
So, yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, how old were we? I knew we were babies in my mind, looking back. I was 26 and my husband was 25, about to turn 26.
Okay. So, yeah, you were pretty young.
Got married in '08. We had our third anniversary in Japan. We were 2.5 years in.
So how long were you there?
We were there a little bit over 3 years. We arrived 5 weeks before the triple disaster. In 2011.
Oh, no.
Okay, remind us what that was.
So the triple disaster on March 11th, 2011, there was one of the largest earthquakes in the history of the world, followed by a tsunami, followed by a nuclear disaster.
Oh, gosh. That was such a hard, difficult, horrible time.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy, were you in China when that happened?
We were, yeah. And then so of course you hear about it and you know about it. And then we had some Japanese in our international community too that just felt the heaviness of it. Mm-hmm.
So you arrived 5 weeks before that happened. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
5 weeks before, yeah. But then we stayed there for a little over 3 years. It ended up being like 3 years and 3 months.
So the first story we'd love to hear is about your initial transition and adjustment to Japan.
Oh my goodness. So I feel like as I've been reflecting, thank you guys so much for this opportunity to reflect on all these things and just kind of formalize and solidify some thoughts in my mind. I feel like all of my transition stories all went back to food and not being able to find food or cook food.
Oh, tell us about it.
So on the one hand, we're there on support. We want to be really good stewards of our resources. We can't buy, in my mind, I can't waste my money on takeout and waste my money on quick and easy convenience food. No. I have to cook it from like I would at home, right? Back in America, how I would cook this food and be a good steward of my resources.
Yes, because somebody donated their hard-earned money to help you be able to do this, and so you want to use it wisely.
Yes. 100%, which is a very noble goal. That's a very noble goal, and yes, that should be how it is. However, during transition, I don't have the skills necessary to do the things to be efficient and effective with my money. I need to do what I need to do, and I didn't give myself permission to do those things. Like, I remember one time we were traveling home from our boss's house across town. We were like stressed out about our train. We were going to miss it, and we didn't know, but we were starving. And we were at this big underground, like essentially a giant food court, restaurants in the underground. And it came to be one of my favorite places later, just so many options. But for one, being overwhelmed with all the options, and two, feeling like we had to make the very best choice for our money. Like, this is too expensive, go to this next one. No, that's too expensive. We wandered around that basement for hours looking for a restaurant that not only looked like food we wanted to eat, but was quote unquote like,
good price.
A good price, right? I didn't feel like I was being wasteful and lavish with our funds. So I'm assuming we eventually found something to eat. Like, we didn't starve, I'm sure. I can't remember what it was. All I remember is standing in that underground, feeling lost, feeling stressed, and feeling so hungry. And not giving myself permission to just buy the bowl of rice, right? Just buy the rice bowl. It has steak on it. Ooh, you're going to be fine. Eat it. And another time, I remember being at the grocery store and like trying to find the ingredients I needed. I needed salt, and I could not find salt. I went up and down the aisles thinking, okay, I'm a smart, well-educated woman. I know how to find things. Okay, salt would be near it'll be near the pepper. So I'm in the spice section and I'm looking for the salt, and all I can find is salt mixed with pepper. And I'm like, that's not going to work. that I need it
Right.
pure. They must sell just pure salt. That must be a
Salt.
thing.
How hard can it be to find salt, right?
Right? And I can't read the kanji yet. So even if I see it, I'm like, I know what it looks like, right? Salt looks like salt. Can't find it anywhere, but I do find salt with pepper. Finally, I work up the courage to ask somebody, please help this sad, pathetic foreigner who doesn't know how to find the basic cooking ingredient. And she walks me over to the aisle, and like, here it is, and walks away. And I'm like, great. And there's a wall full of salt and sugar. Oh. But it's all in kanji. And I can't differentiate which one is salt and which one is sugar.
And you can't taste it.
Okay, is kanji the characters?
So kanji are they're the Chinese symbols that Japanese use for their writing. They also have hiragana and katakana. Hiragana are the characters for Japanese sounds, and katakana are the characters for foreign sounds. So I'm looking here at my bottle. Your people can't see it, but here's
she's
the
got
character,
a tea bottle.
and here's the hiragana. Before I came here, I stopped at Central Fish, which is a Japanese grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Downtown Fresno.
I was feeling all Natsukashi, feeling all fond memory.
Oh, nostalgic. Did you just use a Japanese word for nostalgic?
Yes, Natsukashi. It hits different. It means like it's like a fond remembrance, like a wistful nostalgia, like, oh, wasn't it wonderful?
Yeah.
When I think
Love
about
it.
missing Japan, Natsukashi is the word that
Yes, it describes
stronger.
it better, more so than just feeling nostalgic. Yeah.
Oh, I love that you stopped by the Japanese store and got some tea for this interview. That's awesome.
I don't know if you finished your story.
I didn't. So I eventually found the salt after like 30 minutes of crying in the grocery store.
Oh.
I brought home the salt. Pretty much my transition was a lot of those stories like, I need food. Where do I get food? I don't know how to, or even I'm like, I know how to cook in America. Yeah, this is going to be easy. No. I know how to cook in America where it's a can of this, a box of this, put it together and bake it. Yeah, and so having to relearn, like, how do I cook from scratch? I need to make pancakes from scratch. There's no Bisquick. It was a ordeal.
I felt like I became a better cook in China because I knew I had to do it from scratch. I know how to make my own sour cream. It's just from scratch. It's not that hard.
That is. Yeah, same. Like, I figured out a lot of things. I'm like, oh, you know what? That's not that hard.
Right. Now, Kat, please tell us a story about something that was hard.
Being incompetent was very hard for me. I am a person who values, like, a high value, I've realized, on competency in myself. Like, I have grace for other people. If they can't get their acts together, that's fine. I need to be able to do things and do things well. And going to a place where I didn't know the systems, I couldn't read the words, I couldn't barely speak the words. It was so hard. I felt like, okay, so all of us here are educators. We professionally teach people how to write words. We are very literate. We are all really well read. We have degrees. We have advanced degrees. I went to a country where I was illiterate.
Me too.
And that was really, really hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to be so hard. Like, I knew, I'm not going to be able to speak Japanese, obviously, when I get there. But not having basic functional literacy was very demoralizing for me.
Yeah.
And then realizing just how basic my level of need and reading was. At one point, I went to Kumon, which is an after-school tutoring program. We have it in America. I don't know how we pronounce it here, but in Japan, it's Kumon. And kids go there after school to do their basic, like, Japanese literacy practice, Japanese math practice. Like, it's very worksheet heavy, very, like, complete this worksheet, get a stamp, go on to the next worksheet, leveled up. I'm not sure how it is in America, if we have it a little different. But that's how it is there. And so I went and I joined the Japanese kids program. They have a program for foreign people learning Japanese, but I chose the one for Japanese children learning Japanese.
Okay.
And so every day, or twice a week after school, I would go over to the Kumon next to our house, and I would sit down at the little tiny table surrounded by 6-year-olds, and I would work through my workbook. I'd bring my homework for my teacher to check, and I'd work on my workbook. And it was really hard because some of the questions were things that they take for granted, like the word... trying to decide how much Japanese to speak because it's not going to mean anything to anybody. There's this special word for a type of saw that's like colloquially used, and everyone's like, obviously that's a nokogiri, that type of jagged saw, obviously. I had no... I don't know. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the timepiece, the grandfather clock. What word do you want me to put there? The watch? I don't know. I know it's clock because I speak English fluently, and my mother told me that nursery rhyme as a child. They know the word that's missing from this blank is no kogiri because that's the word we use for this particular type of jagged handsaw. And so as I'm filling out my homework, I'm like, okay, that's a saw. Let me look up a word that means saw. And I put in some word, and they're like, obviously you're dumb. That word doesn't go there. It's no kogiri, you dummy. I'm like, how would I know that? My mother didn't tell me these nursery rhymes. I don't get it.
When you said that you went to the class for kids, I was thinking, that's still going to be hard because people don't realize how much language and just knowledge of the world kids have by the time they are 3, 4, 5 years old. They know so much compared to somebody that's coming in and learning a language from scratch.
Yeah.
Tell us about something you love. Tell us a story about that.
I loved the relationships that we made in Japan. I love my Japanese friends and our church friends, but I extra special love those other foreign missionaries and other expat friends and relationships that I made. There was just something so sweet about having just an instant common trauma bond, right? That instant understanding.
Trauma bond.
Yes.
I like that.
I get it. Like, I know you and you know me, and we don't have the same story, and we don't live in the same place necessarily. We're not even from the same places, but we get what it means to be different in this culture that is so homogenous. I stand out like a sore thumb, and so do you. And because of that, we're friends, right? We can understand one another. Going to their houses for Christmas or just going over and spending time, grabbing coffee, grabbing food at the bakery together. I mean, it wasn't every day that we would see them, but those people who just like grabbed us and tucked us under their wing, our fellow missionaries and our mission, just, that sweet, sweet fellowship of people in very similar stages and very similar positions was something I do not take for granted and not, I definitely have such a place in my heart for all of them. And many of them I haven't seen in so long. I mean, we're still friends on Facebook, but I feel like if I was to show up at their doorstep, we would just instantly strike back up a conversation and just like old times. Because, it was just such a sweet time.
It is. I like how you use the word sweet because it is. There's in thinking about it right now, is we get that taste of sweetness again, right?
Yeah.
The natsakashi.
Natsakashi.
Okay, tell us a story about something that surprised you, please.
Something that surprised me about Japan, that I'm not quite as extroverted as I thought I was. So I love being around people. Like, I would often just go and just sit on my roommate's bed when she was typing her homework because I just needed that 10 minutes of physical proximity with another human being. And I would sit there for 10 minutes while she was typing. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I go back and finish my assignment. So I've always craved that, like, okay, I'm just going to be close. And I thought being a missionary that would be the right ticket, right?
So you would love
people all the
and
time. I'm just going to love every second of it. I'm around people. I'm meeting new people every day. I'm hanging out and building relationships. I'm at the church like hours and hours and hours on Sundays around people. It's going to be wonderful. And it was, but it was far more draining than I was anticipating. Because people have always given me so much energy. I thought this is going to be just life-giving and so easy being around people all the time. And I realized through lots of reflection that it's not necessarily being around any old people. It's about being around people who understand me and people who I feel understood by. And as much as I loved our church family, I didn't speak deep enough Japanese to have deep relationships with everybody. Like I love them and I know they'd be there for me and I would be there for them, but I never reached a level in Japanese in our time there that I would be able to have those deep, meaningful conversations in Japanese that would make me feel completely understood and known. I talked earlier about those expat friends, and those people became that for me. But in our day-to-day missionary existence, I didn't have that. We were with international students who spoke other languages. We were with Japanese people who spoke spoke Japanese. And having to teach myself how to introvert out of like pure self-preservation. How do I fill my tank as an introvert in this season of life? Because I don't have access to people to the degree that I want to have access to people who get me and who understand me.
How interesting.
Yeah.
I like how you said that. You had to teach yourself how to introvert. You had to teach yourself how to get filled up by something other than people. So what did you discover? How did you do it?
How did I do it? Part of it was I would go to our annual retreats feeling just like crumbled and broken down and just drained beyond belief, and then leaving those retreats just feeling fully charged and just ready to go. So having those touch points definitely, and putting those touch points in periodically so that I could kind of go through a desert season. Okay, so next week I'm gonna see Megan and we're gonna have coffee. And so if I'm really exhausted between now and then, it's gonna be okay because I'm gonna have time. Okay, in 3 weeks we have the Hokkaido Women's Retreat. Okay. And I have been helping to get it together. So every 2 weeks, we have been spending time with other women who are helping to do the shoulder-to-shoulder task of creating this event. And so building those things into my schedule helped me kind of get from hopping from like stone to stone across the river, right? We're going to get there. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Other things, when I would also do other things that I enjoyed. So I enjoy exploring. I love exploring with people, but I also learned how to just enjoy exploring solo and going slow and not being with people, but being kind of anonymous in the crowd. Felt better to me oftentimes than being alone in a group of people who I was supposed to be engaging with. And supposed to be, it's like I would rather go, rather than sitting at church and feeling like, okay, everyone else is having conversations, nobody's talking to me because they know I can't speak enough Japanese and they can't speak enough English, or feeling kind of like frustrated in that space. I would spend my days off wandering, right? I would take the train and go downtown, and it was hustle bustly, giant city, 5th biggest city in Japan. But being alone in downtown Sapporo, wandering around, felt more life-giving and more energizing. Yeah. Because I wasn't supposed to be connecting with anybody necessarily. I was I was allowed to be solo.
I think that you have already answered the next question that I was about to ask, but so I'll ask it anyway, just in case there's anything else you want to add to it. But I was going to ask you, what did you learn about yourself as a result of living in Japan?
Yeah, I learned that I can get energy, how I need to get energy based on the context. That was a big lesson I had to work through. Mm-hmm. I learned that I can be incompetent and it's okay. And I don't have to be the best at everything, and God can be the best at stuff. And learning about the paradox and being able to lean into the paradox of the yays and the yucks. And that was the theme of our very first training when we had the triple disaster. We were learning from some missionary leaders about living in the paradox of missionary life, of the yay and the yuck, that the good doesn't erase the bad doesn't erase the good. They can live together in tandem. Yeah. And then when we returned home, we actually got that same training from the same person. And learning to exist in that, I feel like was a bookend theme of our time there. And something that I've taken with me from that time. Probably one of the most powerful lessons I've taken with me is learning how to live in that paradox of this is really hard and it's really good. And the hardness doesn't erase the goodness. And the goodness doesn't erase the hardness. They both exist at the same time.
Is there anything that you want to add about what you learned about the world as a result of living in Japan?
Competence is context-based. Everybody is competent in their own context. I am not an illiterate 5-year-old in America. In America, I have a degree and then some. I am qualified to teach people how to read in America. Yeah. But drop me somewhere else and I'm no longer competent. And I need support. And so learning to give people that grace and that understanding and that support, like, okay, let me come alongside you. You're in a place where you're not feeling quite as competent, but I have some competency here. Let me lend you that and help bridge that for you.
Yeah. Because, and I think that that is a really valuable experience that we have when we move to another place or spend time in another place and realize that in that context, we are not competent, whether it's because of language or other things that we don't know. And having that experience does help us when we see people in our context where we are competent and we see them, to know that, okay, just because they don't know certain things about how to function in this space, in this place, doesn't mean that they are not highly competent or highly educated or highly intelligent and experienced and wise. And there are barriers to us being able to experience all those, things that somebody has to offer.
And didn't it feel good when somebody could look beyond, when we were overseas and somebody looked beyond, like somebody could appreciate us and know that we weren't children. Like we really do know what to do, but just not in this language or just not in this country yet, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kat, for sharing your stories about your time overseas in Japan. You learned that competence is context-based and that if we go somewhere outside our home culture and language, we need more support than we are sometimes willing to admit. Not only did you enjoy Japan and the Japanese church itself, but also loved the sweet relationship formed with other foreign missionaries. You felt firsthand how the good and bad of a time overseas can coexist. Natsukashi. So, what happened when she returned to the United States? You'll have to make that return trip to our podcast for part 2 of Kat's round trip story.
Want the podcast equivalent of early boarding and first class seating? Be sure to subscribe to this podcast in your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed this podcast, would you consider sharing it with your fellow globetrotting friends? We would love to encourage them too.
As this episode lands, we hope these stories have encouraged you, helped you find some more of your belongings, and made your baggage a little lighter. Thanks so much for listening, friends. We'll see you next time.